Welcome to your week 6 of Design 320. Week 12 of Design 320. We're doing the design development portion of your customized design number 2 this week. This is much like what you did in design number 1, where you came up with some good mass modeling in your design research and design review portion. And now you're going to develop one portion of that so that you can read it and work with it and pass it off to a detailer more easily. So let's take a look and see what the goals for this week are. Perform more of those first steps of the design process. And we're going to focus the design concept now on one or more improvements or just generalized conceptualization of your previous design review. And our goal is that the concept visualizations can be sufficient to begin detailed design work. And I'll show you some examples of that. And then, of course, we're going to look at completing a design review packet appropriate for project approval. Now, in this case, since this really isn't a product, but it's a design and a layout, the project approval will be by the client. And I would like you to know that this is sort of very, very similar. It is a project that is being worked by the Design Hub now and for a client, and the client is receiving this type of work already from the Design Hub, and they have approved it and they are moving forward. They're into the financing phase of this project right now. So, what you're working on and going on here is real world. It does match how processes work when you're doing project development that has to do with land and land planning and things like that. So that's good news. You're getting some real skill development here. So let's take a look. Let's go to our next slide. Um, Activity 1 is much like we did 2 weeks ago. You're going to make an assembly view of a portion of your design. I'm going to give you an example of that. You're going to identify existing parts, identify new parts, and our focus is taking one part of your full design, say the eating area or the cooking area or the shade structure, something like that. Okay, so this is just more practice at what you've already done, and the goal is that you're getting better and better, faster and faster. It's easier and easier, so you can get more done. I will be looking for an increase in the amount of details that you've been able to present, or a more complete version of the model. In activity 2, you're going to be making files of parts, what needs modification, which are new, and how they go together. So a good conceptual drawing. And in activity 3, again, we're going to add these new things to your existing design review so that you have a complete package. So let me go over just as a brief. This would be an example of a portion of the shade structure. I'll go into it more detail. Now, this isn't a complete job for the week. This is one part of it. This is how the shade structure attaches to the ground, as an example. And there might be more parts to the shade structure. It might be how a solar panel attaches to the structure, or how the joists to the cross beams support, or how the shade member attaches to it. So this is just one portion of it, But you can see that I've got the general portion with something giving kind of a scale. I've got, some much more detail than I had in my mass model. It was just a post sitting on the ground. And then I've shown how the pier block actually works and how the footing might actually be put in. And I've even now increased where I've got a parts list to show what gets purchased and which is new and which has to be built. And so there's still more to do. This is just part of it. And I'm using those skills that I've already done. I've got scenes, I've got annotations, and I've even got now, as you look at this, I'm doing some interesting stuff with materials where some of it is see-through and some of it isn't. Okay, so that's sort of where we're at. And then if you look at what's available in my example, I'm showing you that you should now also be getting a little bit more detail about your materials with image examples of what they are. So that if your model isn't exactly perfect and you can't purchase right off of it, you've got something that you can purchase from. Even have full specs and things like that. Okay, so there we go. That's what we've got for your overview. Let's go ahead and go back up. There's your overview of Design 320 Week 12 assignment. It's our customized design number 2. It's week 2 of 2, and we're doing our design development.